It was a cold, quiet morning in the village of Westhill. The sun was hidden behind dark clouds, and the air was still. People walked slowly down the narrow path that led to the church. No one smiled. Today was the funeral of Mr. Raymond, a man everyone knew, rich, powerful, and respected. The small church was filled with whispers and low voices. Some came out of respect, some came out of curiosity. Mr. Raymond had built half the buildings in the town. He owned the biggest company, drove the finest car, and lived in a mansion on the hill. But today, all of that didn't matter. Today, he lay in a wooden casket dressed in his finest black suit. His 5-year-old son, Liam, walked beside his mother, holding her hand tightly. His small fingers gripped hers like he was scared. He didn't understand everything, but he knew something. Didn't feel right. Liam looked up at his mother. Her eyes were red and her face was pale. She hadn't spoken much since Mr. Raymond died 3 days ago. People had said it was a heart attack, sudden, no warning, no pain. One moment alive, the next, gone. That's what they said. But Liam didn't believe it. Not really. They entered the church. The large wooden casket stood in the center, surrounded by white flowers and candles. The room smelled like roses, but Liam smelled something else too. Something strange. Something familiar. He sniffed again. The scent was light but sharp. He leaned closer to his mother and whispered, "Mommy, why does it smell like Daddy's cologne?" She didn't look at him. "Don't worry, Liam. It's probably the flowers." Liam shook his head slowly. "No, it's his cologne. The one he wears when he's going out. You said it's for special days." She squeezed his hand and tried to smile, but her lips didn't move much. "I know this is hard. Just be quiet now." But Liam couldn't stay quiet. He kept sniffing. His nose wrinkled. That smell, it didn't belong at a funeral. It wasn't a death smell, it was a life smell. His dad used to wear it when going to work or out to dinner. It was strong and clean and full of energy. Why was it coming from the casket? The priest began to speak. He talked about Mr. Raymond's life, about his success, his company, his charity work. People nodded, some wiped tears. But Liam wasn't listening. His eyes didn't move from the casket. Something inside him felt strange, heavy. He stared harder. His heart beat faster. He remembered something his father had told him one night before bed. "If anything ever happens to me, Liam, you follow your nose, okay? Your nose is your superpower, never ignore it." At the time, Liam thought it was a joke, but now, maybe it wasn't. He whispered again, "Mommy, something's wrong. Daddy's not sleeping." She frowned and pulled him closer. "Liam, please, people are watching. Be quiet." But the smell was getting stronger. Liam looked around. Everyone was looking at the priest. No one noticed his small hands letting go of his mother's. No one saw him step forward, quiet like a cat. He walked toward the casket. Step by step. "Liam?" his mother called softly, but it was too late. In front of the whole room, Liam ran the last few steps and stood next to the casket. His tiny hands touched the polished wood. He pressed his nose close to the edge and sniffed deep. Then, his face changed. His eyes grew wide. He backed away a little. Then he turned to the crowd. "Open it!" he screamed. People gasped. "Open it now! Something's wrong with Daddy!" The room froze. The priest stopped speaking. Some guests stood in confusion. His mother ran up to him, her face full of shock and fear. "Liam, what are you doing?" Tears rolled down Liam's cheeks, but he didn't move. "Daddy's not dead. He smells like he's going to work. He smells like he's still here." People began to whisper. Some looked angry, others confused. A man in the front row laughed nervously. "It's just a child. He doesn't understand." But Liam pointed again. "He's not dead." His mother tried to lift him up, but he pushed away. "I heard something. I swear I heard a knock. Liam, enough," his mother said sharply, but her voice trembled. The funeral director stepped forward, unsure what to do. And that's when the smell hit everyone. It wasn't flowers anymore. It was cologne. Fresh, strong and wrong. Something was off. And for the first time, people started to believe the little boy. The room was dead silent. All eyes were on the small boy standing near the casket. His little fists were clenched. His eyes were red, but not just from crying. There was something else in them. Something that didn't belong in a 5-year-old's face. Fear, but also certainty. Liam wasn't confused. He wasn't playing. He knew something was wrong. "I heard a knock," Liam repeated, pointing at the casket. "Just now. It came from inside." The priest looked uneasy. "It's grief," he whispered to Liam's mother. "Children feel it in strange ways." But Liam didn't look like a confused child anymore. He looked like someone telling the truth that nobody wanted to hear. "I'm not leaving until someone opens it," Liam said loudly. Gasps filled the air. His mother reached for him again, but stopped. Something in her heart suddenly wavered. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. A man in a black suit stepped forward. It was Mr. Allen, the family lawyer and Raymond's close friend. "That's enough, Liam," he said firmly. "You're upsetting people." Liam stared at him. "Why don't you want to open it? What are you hiding?" Mr. Allen's face twitched for a second. Then he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "It's just not proper, son. I'm not your son," Liam whispered coldly. The tension in the room rose like heat. An old woman in the back finally spoke. "Let the boy check. Just open it for a second. What harm could it do?" Others started murmuring in agreement. Even the priest looked unsure now. Liam's mother wiped her face with trembling hands. Her voice cracked as she spoke. Maybe we should, just to be sure." Mr. Allen turned sharply. "Absolutely not. The coffin is sealed and this funeral is nearly over." But then came a new voice. Deep, calm, strong. "Unseal it." Everyone turned. It was Uncle Theo, Raymond's older brother. He was tall, with gray hair and a straight... He had said nothing all day, until now. "If the boy smelled something and heard something, I want it opened," Theo said. "Raymond loved that boy more than anything. If Liam says something's wrong, we check." Mr. Allen's jaw tightened. "You don't have the legal right." "I have a crowbar in my truck," Uncle Theo said flatly. Gasps. The silence broke. People stood, whispered, moved. The funeral director was frozen in place, unsure what to do. And Liam just stared at the casket, whispering softly to himself, "Please be okay, please be okay." 15 minutes later, the casket lay on 2 wooden planks outside the church. The guests had moved to the side, watching with wide eyes. Some held their mouths. Others held phones. Uncle Theo stood next to the casket, tools in hand. Even the priest didn't argue anymore. "Just a small opening," Liam's mother said nervously. Uncle Theo nodded. With careful hands, he slid the crowbar under the edge. Creak! The first crack of the wood echoed like thunder. Liam flinched. His eyes didn't blink. His mother gripped his shoulders. Theo pulled again. Snap. The lid loosened. Everyone held their breath. One last pull, and the casket creaked open just enough to let out the smell. Not death. Not flowers. But cologne, fresh. Too fresh. Theo's eyes narrowed. "What the hell?" He pulled the lid up further, and everyone gasped. Raymond's body lay there, still in perfect shape. His skin was not pale like the dead. His lips looked too red. His chest, Liam screamed. "He moved!" Everyone leaned in, and then a sound. Tap, 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 very soft. From inside, coming from beneath the suit jacket. Theo dropped the lid open fully and reached toward the chest. His fingers touched the shirt and paused. Something was beating. "He's alive!" Someone shouted. Pandemonium. People ran. Phones came out, screams, cries. Theo reached inside Raymond's coat, found a thin, strange band around the chest. A drug patch was attached, and a needle mark on the neck. Liam's mother fell to her knees, crying. The funeral director ran to call an ambulance, and Mr. Allen, he was gone. Just like that. Vanished. No one had seen him slip away. Liam stood next to the open casket. His tiny fingers touched his father's hand. It was warm. very warm. He looked up at his mother. The ambulance arrived in less than 10 minutes. They lifted Raymond's body out of the casket and laid him on a stretcher. One of the medics checked his pulse again. He's alive. But barely, she said, shocked. Heartbeat is weak, breathing is shallow. It looks like he was drugged, kept just on the edge between life and death. People whispered in fear and confusion. How could this happen? Who would do such a thing? Why fake a funeral? As Raymond was rushed into the ambulance, little Liam tried to climb in, but a medic gently stopped him. "Stay here, sweetheart," she said kindly. "Let's help your daddy first." Liam's mother hugged him tightly. Her face was pale, hands shaking. She whispered, "It's okay now, baby. Daddy's safe." But Liam shook his head. "It's not over. The bad man is still here, somewhere." His mother stared at him. "What bad man?" Liam looked up. "Mr. Allen." The name hit her like ice. Her eyes widened. That's when she realized Mr. Allen, Raymond's lawyer, was missing. No one had seen him leave. No goodbye. No explanation. He vanished right when the truth came out. Uncle Theo noticed too. "That snake," Theo muttered. "He was the only one who didn't want the casket opened, and he handled all the paperwork for the death. I never saw a doctor's signature." Theo turned to Liam's mom. "Do you trust me?" She nodded slowly. "Then come with me." Theo said, "Let's go to Raymond's office. We need to find out what he was hiding, and why Allen wanted him dead or buried alive." Later that evening, they reached Raymond's private study. Everything was dark, dusty. It was like no one had entered since the death, but Liam walked in first. He moved slowly, like something was calling him. "Daddy always said never touch. The red book on the shelf," he whispered. "He said it's only for danger." He pointed to a thick red leather book. Theo pulled it gently. Click, a hidden drawer opened beneath the bookshelf. Inside were letters, photos, bank files, and a USB drive. Theo plugged it into the computer. A video popped up. It was Raymond. Recorded. Just 2 days before his death. Theo pressed play. Raymond's face appeared on screen. He looked scared, tired, but serious. "If you're watching this," Raymond said, "I'm either dead or someone tried to kill me and failed. Either way, the truth must come out." Liam's mother covered her mouth. Raymond continued, "I recently discovered that my company's money, millions, was being moved into secret accounts, offshore, hidden, and all this was being done by someone I trusted." Theo leaned forward. "Mr. Allen." Liam's eyes widened. "I knew it." Raymond's voice went on. "When I confronted him, he warned me not to tell anyone. He said I'd regret it, that accidents happen. The next day I got sick, very sick. Doctors said it was the flu, but I think it was poison. I don't trust anyone anymore, not even the hospital." Raymond looked directly at the camera. "That's why I made a plan. If anything happens, I arranged. With one friend, a retired army medic, to help me fake my death. Just long enough to draw Allen out. He's too smart to leave proof, but if he thinks I'm gone, maybe he'll make a mistake." The video ended. Silence filled the room. Liam's mother sat down slowly. He knew. He knew Allen would try something. "Uncle." Theo clenched his jaw. That man buried his own best friend, alive just for money. Just then, Liam tugged at Theo's sleeve. "Uncle, look," he said. Liam pointed to a piece of paper near the USB. It was a transfer order for $20 million, signed by Mr. Allen. It was scheduled for tomorrow. "Still trying to steal the money," Theo muttered. "He doesn't know. Raymond survived." Liam looked up. "Can we stop him?" Theo smiled. "We will, but we need a plan." That night, while Raymond was recovering in the hospital under police protection, Theo called in an old contact, a detective who owed him a favor. "We're setting a trap," Theo said. The detective nodded. "Let's catch the snake with his own bite." They arranged to let the transfer go ahead, but to track it and catch Allen red-handed at the bank the next morning. Meanwhile, little Liam stood beside his sleeping father in the hospital. He held his hand tightly. "You don't need to be scared anymore, Daddy," he whispered. "I'm going to protect you now." His father didn't answer, but a single tear rolled down his cheek. The sun was just rising over the city skyline when Theo parked outside the Grand Heights Bank. It was quiet. Too quiet. He stepped out of the car, adjusted his coat, and nodded toward the black van parked across the street. Inside were two plainclothes detectives, waiting, watching. This wasn't just another day. This was the day they would finally catch Mr. Allen. Back at the hospital, Raymond remained unconscious, but his condition had stabilized. The doctors confirmed he'd been slowly drugged over several days, just enough to make him weak, silent, and easy to bury alive. If Liam hadn't noticed the cologne, Raymond might have never woken up. Now it was up to Theo. He looked at his phone. The transfer was scheduled for 9 a.m., exactly $20 million, moved to a fake offshore company account controlled by Allen. Everything was set. All Theo had to do was wait. But then, someone tugged his coat. It was Liam. "What are you doing here?" Theo whispered, shocked. "You were supposed to stay with your mom." "I want to help," Liam said, eyes firm. "This man tried to take my dad. I want to see him caught." Theo knelt down. "It's dangerous." Liam pointed to the small microphone in Theo's pocket. "Let me wear one. I'll stay inside and act normal. If I see him, I'll tell you." Theo hesitated, then sighed. "Okay," he said softly. "But you stay in the lobby. No talking, no running, no hero stuff. Deal?" Liam nodded. "Deal." 2. Through inside the bank, Mr. Allen walked in calmly, a suit freshly pressed. His silver watch shined in the light. He looked relaxed, like a man who had already won. He went straight to the private banker and whispered something. The banker smiled and nodded, then disappeared into the back room. Outside, Theo's phone buzzed. "He's here." It was Liam's voice through the mic. He's standing near the back desk, talking to the lady in red glasses. Theo spoke into the mic quietly. "Good work, kiddo. Keep eyes on him." Then he turned to the detectives. "Time to move." Inside, Allen looked at his watch. OS and 7 a.m. He smiled. Soon $20 million would be his. Cleared, untraceable. He took out his phone and texted, "Confirmed. You'll have the money by 9:15. But just then Liam noticed something strange. Mr. Allen wasn't alone. A man in a brown jacket, who hadn't spoken to anyone, was sitting nearby, watching him closely. Something about that man felt off. Liam whispered into the mic, "Uncle Theo, I think Mr. Allen has backup." Theo replied, "Describe him." Liam did. Theo's eyes widened. "That's Martin Cross, ex-private security, known for making people disappear." The situation had just gotten more dangerous. Theo rushed toward the bank with the two detectives, but before they could go in, the fire. Alarm went off. The bank erupted in noise, sirens screamed, lights blinked red. People started panicking. Employees ran toward the exits. Theo's heart dropped. Allen's trying to escape. Inside, Allen grabbed his briefcase and started walking fast toward the back exit. Martin followed behind him, clearing the path. But suddenly, Liam stepped in their way. He stood still, arms spread. "You can't leave," he said bravely. "You tried to kill my dad." Allen froze. He looked at Liam. "Out of my way, kid." But Liam stared straight at him. "I'm not scared of you." That second of hesitation was all Theo needed. He burst in through the front with the detectives. Freeze! Guns raised, badges shown. Chaos stopped. Allen turned pale. Martin reached into his jacket, but one of the detectives shouted, "Don't even think about it." Hands went up, the room fell silent. Theo walked slowly toward Liam and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did good, kid," he whispered. Back at the hospital, Raymond opened his eyes for the first time in 2 days. His wife gasped. "Raymond?" He blinked, smiled weakly. "Hey." Liam ran into the room and hugged him tight. "We got him, Daddy," he said. "Mr. Allen, he's gone." Tears filled Raymond's eyes. "You saved my life, son," he whispered. "You really did," but Liam just smiled. "I just followed the smell." Everyone laughed softly, but their hearts were heavy with relief. That evening, the news reported everything. Breaking: millionaire lawyer caught faking friend's death. To steal $20 million, Allen had confessed. He planned the whole thing. Slow poisoning, fake documents, fast burial. But what he didn't count on was a 5-year-old boy who loved his father more than anything. Liam became a quiet hero in his village, but he didn't want fame. He only cared about one thing: that his father was still alive, that their family was whole again, and that the next time Raymond wore cologne, it would be for a real reason. Raymond sat up slowly in his hospital bed, holding a warm cup of tea. His wife, Sarah, sat beside him. She hadn't left his side since he woke up. Liam lay curled up in the hospital chair, fast asleep, a superhero plushie tucked under his arm. Raymond looked at them both, his family, alive, safe. But his eyes turned serious when Theo walked in, with a thick file under his arm. "We need to talk," Theo said quietly, shutting the door behind him. Sarah gave a small nod and stepped out with Liam, leaving the two men alone. Theo dropped the file on Raymond's lap. Mr. Allen wasn't working alone. Raymond looked up, confused. "What do you mean? I thought he confessed." "He did," Theo said, "but not everything. He admitted to organizing the fake funeral and the attempted transfer of your money. But the poisoning? That started earlier, weeks before." Raymond frowned. "I don't understand." Theo opened the file and pulled out several pages. Test results, financial records, and even a hotel receipt. "You were being poisoned slowly. We found traces in your food, in your medicine, even in your coffee. Someone was trying to make you weak, confused, easier to manipulate." Raymond's hands trembled slightly. "Who would do that?" Theo sighed. "That's the hard part," he said. "The test showed a specific chemical, atropine, used in very small doses. Hard to detect. But when we checked your security system, we noticed something." He pulled out a photo from the file. It was the face of someone Raymond trusted. It was Claire, his personal assistant of 8 years. Raymond's eyes widened. "Claire, no, that's impossible." "She was with you daily," Theo said. "She made your coffee, managed your meals, handled your pills, and she stayed late every night." "Always alone in your office?" Raymond shook his head in disbelief. "But why?" Theo opened another document. "She's been receiving payments, direct bank transfers, regular and large, from a company owned by Mr. Allen." Raymond's face turned pale. "She helped him." Theo nodded. "She helped set you up. And even more. She signed off on the burial papers. We checked the signatures. She was the one who approved your emergency funeral, claiming your wife couldn't be reached." Raymond leaned back in shock. "I trusted her with everything." Theo looked grim. She was the perfect inside person. Meanwhile, at the police station, Claire sat calmly in the interrogation room. She wore a plain white blouse. Her hair was neat. Her expression? Empty. Detective Mills stepped in and dropped the same file Theo had. "We know everything," he said. Claire smiled softly. "Do you?" "You poisoned him," Mills snapped. "You helped fake the paperwork. You nearly buried a man alive." Claire looked up, her voice cold and calm. "I didn't poison him." Mills narrowed his eyes. "I just followed orders." That line froze the room. "Whose orders?" he demanded. Claire looked away. "I've said too much already." Mills slammed his hand on the table. "Tell us who else is involved." Claire said nothing, but her silence spoke volumes. Back at the hospital, Raymond shared everything with Sarah once she returned. Sarah was shaken. "Claire, but she came to my birthday." She hugged Liam. "I don't get it either," Raymond said quietly. "But Theo believes someone bigger is behind this. Allen was just the middleman." Just then, Theo entered again, this time with a fresh file. "You're not going to like this," he said. He placed a photo on the table. It was blurry, taken from a camera on the street, but the man in it. Raymond whispered, "No way, that's my older brother, Charles." Theo nodded. He was seen meeting with Alan 2 months ago. Twice. Then, he vanished. No trace, Sarah gasped. But Charles is in Australia. He hasn't spoken to us. Years. Theo opened his phone. That's what we thought until we found this. He played a voice message, crackly but clear. Make sure Raymond is out of the picture. I don't care how. He doesn't deserve the company. I do. It was Charles's voice. Raymond stared at the screen, hands shaking. My own brother tried to kill me. Later that night, Liam stood beside Raymond's bed again. Are you okay now, Daddy? He asked softly. Raymond smiled weakly. I'm better, thanks to you. Liam held his hand tight. I was scared. I know, Raymond whispered. But you were brave. You saved me. Liam looked at him seriously. I think the bad people are still out there. Raymond nodded slowly. You're right, but we're going to stop them, all of them. Liam grinned. Good, because I want to be a detective when I grow up. Raymond laughed quietly. You already are. But outside the hospital, far away, a private jet flew quietly over the ocean. Inside sat Charles, wearing dark sunglasses and sipping wine. He looked at his phone and smiled. He wasn't done yet, not even close. Charles Raymond leaned back in his private jet seat, sipping wine and staring at the clouds. He thought everything was going perfectly. Raymond was supposed to be dead. The money, the company, the legacy, it was all supposed to be his. But now, the news was spreading fast. Business tycoon Raymond wakes up after being declared dead. Charles threw his glass against the wall and it shattered into pieces. Who ruined everything? He growled. Then his phone rang. It was an unknown number, he answered cautiously. The voice on the other side said, You really thought you could hide forever? Charles froze. It was Raymond. Alive, strong, and angry. You're a ghost, Charles said, trying to laugh it off. No, brother, Raymond replied. You tried to bury me alive. But I have something you don't. My family. Charles stayed. Quiet. Raymond's voice grew colder. And now, I have your voice recording, your money trail, and your inside people, Alan and Claire, both in custody. You'll never find me, Charles snapped. Raymond's voice didn't shake. We don't need to. You're already exposed. Click. The line went dead. Charles looked outside the window. His smile was gone. Back in the village, the news had spread like fire. People gathered around the Raymond mansion, shocked that the man they had buried was now alive. Liam, the little hero, had become the talk of the country. News channels called him the boy who smelled the truth. But inside the mansion, it wasn't just celebration. It was justice time. Theo stood with the police, showing them documents, recordings, and bank transfers. We now have enough proof to arrest Charles, he said. Interpol is helping us track his plane. Raymond stood beside him. His face was calm, but his heart burned. He looked at Liam, who was sitting by the window playing with his toy car. Sarah walked over and held Raymond's hand. We're lucky to still have you, she whispered. Raymond smiled sadly. It wasn't luck. It was Liam. Meanwhile, Charles landed in a secret location, a private island he had been building for years. He thought he could hide there, maybe for the rest of his life. He stepped off the jet and walked toward the giant villa waiting for him, but he never made it to the front door. A team of officers appeared from behind the trees, guns raised. Helicopter above, no escape. Charles Raymond, the lead agent shouted. You are under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy, and financial fraud. Charles tried to run, but a net shot from the trees caught his legs. He hit the ground. Hard. The same way he wanted his brother to go. A week later, Raymond stood outside his company's building. Press, media, and employees all waited for him. But before he stepped forward, he turned to Liam. Are you sure you want to say something? He asked gently. Liam nodded. Yes, I have to. Raymond smiled and lifted him up onto the podium. Liam looked nervous, but then spoke clearly into the mic. "My name is Liam Raymond," he said. "I'm only 5, but I knew something was wrong that day. I smelled my dad's cologne at the funeral. He only wears it when he's happy." People in the crowd smiled and wiped tears. "I'm happy now," Liam said, "because my dad is back, and the bad guys didn't win." The crowd clapped, loud and long. Raymond took the mic. "I nearly lost my life, but I gained something greater, proof that the truth always comes out, and sometimes it comes from the smallest voice." Later that night, Raymond tucked Liam into bed. "You were brave, son," he said, kissing his forehead. Liam smiled sleepily. "Will you always stay with me?" Raymond nodded. "Always." Sarah stood at the door, watching them with tears in her eyes. Their family had survived betrayal, poison, and even death. But they were together now, and nothing was stronger than that. Epilogue. In prison, Charles sat alone. His cell was cold, silent, and dark. He looked at a photo he had kept hidden for years, him and Raymond as kids playing in a park. Smiling, a single tear rolled down his face. Greed had taken everything from him, even his own brother. And now, all he had was time. And regret. A few months had passed since the day little Liam saved his father from being buried alive. The world had not forgotten. News reporters still came to the house, hoping to get an interview with the 5-year-old boy who smelled the truth. But for Liam, life was almost back to normal. Almost. He still had dreams sometimes about the casket, the smell of cologne, and the day he screamed, "Open it!" But now those dreams didn't scare him, because he knew he had done the right thing. One warm afternoon, Raymond took Liam to the same garden they used to play in before everything changed. They sat by the old fountain, where the water danced, the sunlight. Raymond looked at his son with pride. "I owe you my life, Liam," he said. Liam blinked. "I just remembered your cologne." Raymond smiled. But only a son who truly knows his father would notice something like that. They sat in silence for a while. Then Liam asked, "Will Uncle Charles ever say sorry?" Raymond's smile faded. "Maybe one day, but sometimes people get lost chasing power. They forget family." Liam nodded slowly. "I won't forget." At the same time, across the ocean, Charles Raymond sat in a small prison cell. The walls were gray, the food was cold, and the silence was endless. He stared at the letter in his hand. A letter from Liam. Liam had written it with help from his mother. It said, "Dear Uncle Charles, you were not nice to my daddy. That made me sad. But I still hope you become better. I hope you find your heart again, from Liam." Charles read it over and over. No hate, no anger, just kindness from a little boy. Tears filled his eyes. He had lost everything, his freedom, his name, and his brother. But maybe not his last chance. Back in the village, life moved forward. Raymond reopened his company and started a new program. The Liam Project, a special foundation to support children who speak up when something feels wrong. He gave speeches about listening to kids, about paying attention, and about how a child's voice can sometimes be louder than the whole world. And Liam. He became a quiet hero. People waved at him when he walked by. Teachers smiled. Kids wanted to be his friend. But Liam didn't care about the fame. He was just happy to have his dad back. On Liam's 6th birthday, the family held a small party. There were balloons, cake, music, and laughter. And in the middle of it all, Raymond raised a glass and said, "To my brave son, you didn't just save me. You reminded us all that truth matters, even when it's scary, even when no one believes you." Everyone clapped. Liam blushed, but then he raised his juice glass and added, "And don't forget to smell the truth." Everyone laughed. Later that night, as the stars blinked in the sky, Sarah tucked Liam into bed. "Are you happy, sweetheart?" she asked softly. Liam nodded. "Yeah, but next time let's not go to any more funerals." Sarah laughed gently. "Deal?" She kissed his forehead and turned off the light. Liam looked out the window, smiling. He didn't need superpowers. He didn't need magic. He had something better: love, instinct, and the courage to speak up. And because of that, his dad was alive, his family was whole, and his story, it would never be forgotten.